The parliamentary inquiry into issues facing Eskom has concluded for the day. A former Trillian financial advisor, Mosilo Motepo, reiterated her claims of wrongdoing. However, her former employer previously dismissed the claims as those of a disgruntled employee. Motepo told the parliamentary committee that Eskom paid Trillian Capital Partners 600 million rand, despite not having a contract. She further says that she was told ahead of time that Finance Minister Trillian would be fired. She claims that Trillian CEO Eric Wood bought dollars prior to Nene's removal, as he knew the markets would be affected. It also emerges that Motepo sent a statement to the Hawks a year ago, but had received no request for an interview. The Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises is broaching the power utilities dealings with financial advisory firm Trillian and global consultancy firm McKinsey. Over 1.5 billion rand was allegedly paid despite no contracts between Eskom and Trillian and no subcontract between Trillian and McKinsey.
The only payment that I was aware of was the corporate plan, but that was a Trillian management consulting invoice of about 30 million rand, which was made on the 14th of April. I received a call from Mr. Edwin Mabilani telling me that they need Trillian's BEE certificate because the process, they wanted to process payment. Obviously, I was not aware that an invoice had been issued, and I was quite surprised because, well, there was no contract between Eskom and Trillian and McKinsey. So he dealt with Mr. Teboho Leballo on that issue. I normally had informal meetings with Eric in the morning, and then he called me into his meeting in his office, and he told me that Minister Nene will be fired. For me, I didn't understand the significance of what he was telling me. There had been many reshuffles of ministers before. I didn't understand why he was telling me because we never dealt with National Treasury or the Minister of Finance. So I didn't ask him, how do you know? Why are you telling me? I just said, oh, okay. Later on in that morning, he emailed me a document, a Word document, that essentially outlined the initiatives that the new minister was going to approve. Eric Wood once told me that he went to Saxon World. That's all I recall. But he didn't say which brothers he met, but he had been to Saxon World several times. With regards to my own charges, I issued a statement, and this was in January this year, that was drafted by my lawyers, and we haven't heard anything from them yet. But in terms of the public protector's remedial action, I have been waiting for the Hawks to come and ask me questions. I watched Mr. Sean Abrahams a few weeks ago saying that the various phases that the public protector had requested to be implemented, like Transnet, Trillian, Eskom, he said they were in the process of implementing. They have not approached me. I'm waiting for the day they give me a call, and I'll be happy to assist them.
The witness, Mosilo Motepo, alleges that Trillian's advice to Eskom was not worth 600 million rand. Motepo says Eskom did not have a contract with Trillian, but paid them 600 million rand. Motepo also claims that Eskom just accepted Trillian's invoices, despite there being no contract numbers on them. She further says suspended Eskom CEO Anoj Singh had an improper business relationship with Trillian CEO Wood. Now, the Trillian CEO made millions on the firing of Nene as the finance minister back in December 2015. She also testifies to sending a statement to the Hawks, but had not heard anything from them since. The financial advisory firm has been under a cloud over its dealings with McKinsey and Eskom. Row is over unlawful payment of 1.6 billion rand in fees to Trillian and McKinsey. Trillian claimed it was McKinsey's Black Empowerment Supply Development Partner, and Trillian registered on Eskom's supply database as wholly white-owned. Eskom says Trillian had invoiced and was paid on a fraudulent basis. At the time payment was claimed and made, Trillian had no black ownership, and Eskom wants repayment of 1 billion rand from McKinsey and 564 million rand from Trillian. Former Eskom CEO Brian Demes, a UCT professor Anton Eberhard, and Outer have so far testified in front of the members of parliament. This inquiry will assess issues of governance, procurement, and the financial sustainability of Eskom.